Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Walking with Beau, an almost daily walking vlog. I look like I'm probably get myself situated here. Well, I don't have much time before it starts raining. I'm guessing I have about an hour. So I'm going to try to get my miles in. I wasn't watching the damn radar and got involved in something on the internet, and I've lost an hour, which I'm going to regret now. But the good news is it's very hot and muggy. So I'm going to get at least my 5 miles in, regardless. If I get wet, I get wet. And it looks like a pretty solid line of rain, like it's not going to be escapable. It goes from northern Maine all the way down into the bottom of New Hampshire, into Massachusetts, along a frontal boundary that's going by. So I'm probably going to get wet. But anyway, we do have a lot of stuff to talk about. I feel really badly for Europe right now. They're on the brink of collapse economically. Unfortunately, this is what the globalists wanted. And I say that because they want to install a central bank. I just saw a lightning flash. I got a feeling I'm going to regret going for this walk. But anyway, they want to install a central bank to control all of the banking in Europe through the European Union. And they need to collapse the economy and create a huge crisis for the government to be able to step in and say, we have a solution. They've been planning this for a long time. They've written about it. They've talked about it. Nobody believed it would ever happen. But it's about to, and that is going to affect the United States. China, I found out today, doing some research, they're trillions of dollars in debt as well. So we've borrowed a lot of money from China, and they have borrowed a lot of money from other people. And from what I can tell, nobody's going to get paid when it all goes to hell. And I mean, I certainly don't want to scare people, but this is what they wanted. They wanted mass immigration too, to filter the borders out and ruin the country's sovereignty, which they've been doing, especially in Europe. That's the reason why I bring it up. They're trying to do it here. In case you haven't been under a rock, there's been race riots and race unrest going on in the UK right now. Racial unrest. Today I saw a film clip of white people in the UK, British, blocking off streets and only allowing white people to travel through because the government has given such preferential treatment to immigrants. Intentionally, they want to cause this. If you say anything, you're a bigot. If you say anything, you're a racist. You can't talk about it on the internet. You end up in court for hate crimes. And the people are doing what the people do. They're fed up with it, and they're starting to fight back because they have to. So the UK is on the brink of civil war, or at the very least, serious race riots. So you're going to see a lot of violence coming up. All these Muslim people there have been beating up white people in riots. It's breaking loose, man. It's going to make the Black Lives Matter riots here look like kiddie stuff. They have the real radicals over there that swing machetes, you know what I mean? So it's going to be ugly. People are going to get hurt. I saw a woman's door get kicked in by the lights. The UK public this police, they kicked this woman's door in because she was out protesting. So bad things are going to be happening, and they are happening in Europe. Then we had the whole Olympics controversy on top of that. The whole world is upside down right now, and it's all these globalist Marxists who own everything. I've talked about it a million times, and that's what's causing it. So anyways, I can see lightning flashing off in the distance, but that might be deceptive. I'll be watching my radar. Not like there's very much place for me to hide in a thunderstorm. I don't want to get struck by lightning and killed because I was getting exercise so I wouldn't die early. The irony there is palpable. So I'm going to try to walk faster than I usually do tonight. I've gotten a walk in at 5 miles at an hour and 10 minutes before. I'm going to see if I can do that tonight. Now this afternoon I headed out for my walk, but we tried to get our range day in this morning, so I got up pretty early, like 5 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't get the range day in because it was raining. So this whole weekend we didn't get shooting in this weekend. And so anyway, this afternoon I was like, well, I'm gonna go for my walk, go for a woods walk. I was gonna do woods walk number 24, but I just didn't feel right. Didn't have enough sleep. My lower back was barking at me. So I decided to scrap it. So now we'll see if I pay for that mistake, if it was a mistake. Now something I am happy about, I don't know if you follow any of the Star Wars stuff, but I found a torrent download of somebody that restored the original Star Wars that was saw in the theaters with the original colors before George Lucas went and did color correction and changed the temperature to more of a cooler look. removing a lot of the warmth the original Star Wars film had. And of course, we know what he did with the CGI stuff. So I found a copy with this guy named Puggo, P-U-G-G-O, online with a group of technical wizards, restored their own version to something that George Lucas should have released and never did. The original version of Star Wars, anamorphically and in 4K. So I have a copy of the original Star Wars in 4K for today's modern 4K TVs. Oh, we got police. Police. Here come the police. Anyway, so I got the original Star Wars film from 1977, produced from the best copies of the original film, which ranges from the original masters, and also much of it is from a 35mm print film copy used in theaters in 1977. So that's why it's pertinent. It's been a lot of the film damage has been removed, painstakingly probably. It's a fantastic copy. You can find that at archive.net, I believe it is. It's an archive website. It's been around for quite a long time. And they have the torrent downloads. You'll have to know how to use BitTorrent downloading. It's very cool. That's the same place I found 16mm prints. 16mm. That was the... You used to be able to buy those and have them for home theater projection back when. People were using VHS in the late 70s. Beta and VHS had a battle in the 80s. But people were recording with video recording if they had money. Television broadcasts and things like that. But the Star Wars films were available on 16mm print. A lot of the home movies back in the day, and even in the 80s, were on 8mm. So 16mm is twice the size of 8mm, obviously. And of course, 35mm is, I believe, what they used to show in the theaters, projected on the screen in analog format. And that is what this copy was, most of it was contributed from. So it has Han Solo shooting first. It doesn't have any Jabba the Hutt inserted in there, awkwardly. It doesn't have the George Lucas edits. It has the Death Star hangar, looking pretty terrible for the special effects. I certainly understand why George Lucas fixed some things, but they removed the charm of it. I went to go see that movie in the theater every weekend for a year. A matinee cost $1. So I went every weekend for a year. So it was $1. And I really enjoyed it. So those things are important to people, and George Lucas released the theatrical versions on bonus discs in 1996, but they were letterboxed. They didn't adjust to your screen anamorphically. So when you played them on a modern widescreen TV, not only did you have black bars at the bottom and the top, but you had them on the side too, and it was a small picture. You had to zoom your picture, which blurred it. I own those. I bought them. So I am glad I have those. They look pretty decent on a laptop if you set your settings for that. So that's not where my complaint lies, is that he didn't really spend any money on it, and he just used the Laserdisc masters from the 90s, early 90s. So I actually have a copy of Star Wars on Laserdisc and widescreen before George Lucas altered anything in it. But I don't have a Laserdisc player. And to be honest with you, I really don't need one, because they have digital copies of the movie that are better than that anyway. So that would be a nostalgia thing, and we never had Laserdisc. We always had VHS. I got a couple of Star Wars VHS box sets as well. So one set is in full screen, one set is in widescreen. So that's very cool, I think. So I have a 1 terabyte external hard drive, which I hope never, I can't say I hope it never dies, because I know it's going to. So, you know, I need to back that up somewhere. It's a 1,000 gigabyte drive. I mean, I'd have to buy another 1,000 gigabyte drive. I've had this one for a while, albeit I've not used it very much. But I got a lot of stuff on there, family photos and video and all kinds of stuff. Personal photos. So I need to get a backup drive, transfer everything. So I don't want to pay for online storage. I've got online storage accounts here and there, you know, but you put things on them, and then 5 years later they say you have until this date and you're going to lose all your stuff. So, hi doggy. No barking today, yippee! So anyways, you know, you get a notification saying you got until this date before your stuff is removed. You know, it's like, well, what good is that? Why do you sucker people on it, and then when they use it, you take it away? So I had planned to do a six mile walk tonight, but I'm going to do a 5 because of the impending weather. I know for a fact rain is coming. It's unavoidable. I'm not going to be able to dodge it. So I need to get my walk done before I get soaked. And I will get soaked. Dew point right now is 74. Absolutely tropical, like you get in Florida. So it feels like Florida and Maine tonight. So I know a lot of people watch these. They'll just watch the first 10 or 15 minutes, which is okay. You know, these are done for me, not for anyone else. It's a vlog. It's a walking vlog. I don't edit it for content. I'll get all the boring stuff I leave in it. I talk a lot. Probably bore a lot of people. That's okay. I need to have a self-diary of this stuff. Because a couple years from now, this is going to be a lot. It's going to mean a lot to me to go back and reminisce. So I honestly believe in the UK they're approaching civil war. And, you know, they never learn. They never learn, the government. They're arrogant. They have a full-blown leftist government in charge now. Labour Party. And it's the equivalent of having far-left extremist Democrats controlling everything, on steroids, I should add. So it's like far-leftism on steroids. Now the people don't have hope. And you're starting to see that. And the illegals, Muslim immigrants, are taking advantage of it. And they are assaulting people, gang raping people in France. It's happening in the UK. I saw a video clip of a couple of Muslims walking around with, which was obviously machetes, big ones, that had cloth drawstring cover on them to hide what they were. But it was obvious. Now the difference is what they do here, meaning the police. In the UK, they're putting up these barriers when the Muslims are protesting. There's no dogs, there's no pepper spray, there's no water cannons. But when the white people riot, guess what happens? You get water cannons, pepper spray, getting beaten with batons. And they have a two-tiered system where they are coddling the Muslims. Now I'm telling you right now, it's about to boil over, where these wonderful British folk who just wanted to mind their own business are going to start assaulting the police en masse. It's going to be awful. And they will have done it to themselves, meaning the government, with the bureaucracy, two-tiered system, and the globalist, Marxist ideology of coddling the immigrants as a protected class. That's exactly what they've done. And there's going to be hell to pay for it. British people are not going to take it. And when it blows up, it's going to blow up badly. Because they're sitting back, being polite, waiting, hoping they get a new government. They didn't. They elected conservatives in one of the biggest lopsided wins in UK history. And they screwed the pooch and did nothing. Now they have removed all hope from the people, which is what you're going to see here, or would have saw here if Trump had been killed. And if he loses in November and they cheated again, that's it. Gloves are off. Gloves are off. The blood is on their hands. Hate to say that, but people are only going to take so much. We are not going to allow them to turn us into Canada or Australia or every other progressive liberal shithole that has been created. They've removed God from the country, or they're trying to. They have made Christianity the enemy, which is something else they have to do to achieve what they want to do. And there's going to be hell to pay for that. That will not go by quietly in the United States. They're going to learn some hard lessons. Some good people, unfortunately, are going to go to jail for it. But it'll be a price to pay to save your country. And it's going to be done gleefully in the name of the Lord. And these people obviously have not read about Christian history. So, not to mention we get the Middle East blowing up right now. It's a powder keg. Everybody's watching to see what Iran's going to do to Israel in retaliation. And I think Israel is about ready to unleash on Hezbollah, which has been coming for a long time. And you know, you had President Trump trying to broker peace in the region. And it's all gone up in smoke with one stolen election. That's just the truth of it. I've talked about it before. Now they're always like, well, there's no evidence it was stolen. Well, yes, there is, actually. Nobody wants to look at it or talk about it. And instead of going out of your way to prove it didn't happen, you just say, oh, you're an election denier. We don't need evidence to prove that it wasn't stolen. You need the evidence to prove it was stolen. That's not how that works. You need to provide evidence. That's what you need to do. You got millions of people in this country believe the election was stolen. It's in the best interest of the country to prove to them that it wasn't, instead of just saying it wasn't, or censoring videos online, or censoring anybody that talks about it. That's not how you instill confidence. All that does is it tells people you were right in thinking so, because they're hiding it. When they're going out of their way to silence people, that means you struck a nerve of truth and they don't like it. So that brings me to the other thing tonight. I was reading a article on a news website. It was an interview done with CNN with David Axelrod, who is one of the biggest Democrat election persons, I guess you could call him. He's one of the main guys that got Obama elected twice. He came right out and told the truth. He came right out and told the truth on CNN. I don't think a lot of people on CNN liked it, but he basically said that this current Kamala surge is an unrealistic, I forget exactly how he worded it, but basically he worded it in a way that said, this is unrealistic exuberance being shown by Democrats, the media, and Democrat supporters about Kamala Harris, and basically said, honestly, that she's not winning right now. She's behind. And he said, he goes, I want to be very clear. Donald Trump is winning right now. He's ahead. It's his election to lose. Kamala has problems. He was being honest. And this backs up the rumors that a Biden family member leaked to the media, New York Post, that Obama says that Kamala is not ready for prime time. In other words, she's not a good candidate, and they know it. This temporary bump in the polls is just that, temporary. That's what he was saying today. Right now, there's a honeymoon because Biden stepped down, and people felt like there was no chance of winning in November. And now they feel like they have a chance. And he was trying to tell the voters don't get too high on that, because you'll have a repeat of what happened in 2016 when nobody thought Donald Trump had a chance in hell of winning, and he won. And he also said that Trump's more popular now than he was before. And Kamala Harris is at 28% of one of the worst vice presidents we've ever had. He said she's been quiet. Nobody's heard from her until now. And voters are going to know her policies that she is on record for out of California. It's not pretty. So he's being realistic about it, while the rest of the Democrat establishment feels like Trump is the worst candidate ever and he's going to lose anyway. They just needed to get rid of Biden. And he's trying to say that's not the case. He said, I quote, "It's Trump's election to lose. He is ahead, he's winning, and it's not going to be easy to beat him." Which it isn't. He also said, admittedly, he admitted that Trump is leading in most of the battleground states, even with the resurgence or a surge by Kamala, which is going to go down after the convention. In other words, he's trying to prepare them and tell them that after the convention, her numbers are going to come back down to earth of running on things that she has been talking about, the stupid things she says. And it's not going to be pretty. He didn't say it's not going to be pretty. I'm saying that. So this is what they've done to themselves. They also installed her. And the other CNN piece I saw was that the other CNN piece I saw was that they are just not doing well with black people. Kamala is not very popular. She wasn't in 2020, and she still isn't. I'm talking about with black people. You get a lot of people right now probably going to vote for her because they have to, because they hate Trump. And that's what happened in 2016. A lot of people felt like they had to vote for Hillary when they didn't like her. Kamala is not a likable person. So I'm seeing a lot of dishonest polls right now. I see polls that have, by CBS, Reuters, Ipsos, The Economist, the same old people who always do biased polls, who have to have the Democrat in front because of fundraising money, and they got to keep it close. They got to make it look like it's Trump and her neck and neck. Donate some money. She needs the money to get ahead. Look how close. We have a chance. And that's what they do. Most of this polling is not correct right now. And that's why I think you should go by the RCP, Real Clear Politics average. It takes about a dozen polls, for and against, and blends them into an average. So right now, Trump just versus Kamala is 1.2 is the RCP average, I'll call it. And in a five-way race with Jill Stein, RFK, and whoever else is in this, it comes out to 5 people altogether. It's going to be in a lot of states. They will be on the ballot in Pennsylvania. So that's why it's important. It's Trump by 0.3. 0.3. So It's a pretty close one, but like I said, there's about 5 polls out of the 12 that have Kamala ahead by 5 or 6 points, which is outrageously ridiculous. So even the RCP average is dragged down by dishonest polling. So also, when a poll comes out, you need to go look at the what's called the poll tabs. That tells you who's being polled. So, hi, how you doing?
Hey,
So you have to watch all of that polling that's going on, and the poll tabs. Who are they polling? Who are they not polling, for example? So, very important. Also, what's really important is likely voters. And when you start polling likely voters, Trump gains a couple points. Because right now they're just polling people, some of which probably aren't even going to vote. Don't know if they are or not. And so very important things to consider. And you know, the dishonest news media, they don't tell you the poll tabbing. They don't show you how many were polled, if they're likely voters, unless they specifically say among likely voters. And the other thing is leaners. Leaners is code word for independents, okay? Undecideds, independents. So that's an important one. And a lot of polls don't include leaners. If you poll just Republicans and Democrats and registered independents, you're going to get different numbers than if you talk to leaners in there. A leaner can be anything. It can be a registered Republican that doesn't like Trump, hates Kamala, and is just going to vote for RFK Jr. Or they might say, well, I'm not voting this year. That's my vote. You see, that's what a leaner is. They're either leaning right, left, or they're leaning towards not voting at all because they don't like anybody. Those polls seem to be more accurate. But that puts people in there that aren't going to be voting. So is that vote important? You be the judge. Now, for the longest time, Rasmussen has been very tough on Trump. I've mentioned that before. And right now, it's pretty generous for Trump. So I don't know if they changed who they're polling, or if they're still polling the same people, and those are honest numbers. So the Trafalgar Group is another conservative polling company that has not been generous to Trump. And they have Trump ahead. So it's, Trump's leading right now, make no mistake. Despite Kamala's surge and the media trying to hype it up into she's another Obama. I'm getting that same Obama energy. That's not Obama energy, okay? They're happy Biden stepped down. They don't feel like they're gonna die now. And it's a lot of false hope. Because at the end of the day, Kamala's not a good candidate, and that's just a fact. And the reality is going to set in on that pretty soon. Now, with Biden doing terribly, Trump was 4 points ahead. And with Kamala, even with the surge, he's 2 points ahead. They've gained 2 points by switching candidates. So in other words, David Axelrod was saying, the gates of Hallelujah singing Kumbaya have not opened with Kamala, and it's not going to. He knows she's not a good candidate. So this is all good, okay? It's Trump's to lose. New scandal, something new pops up, something bad, okay, like really bad, like rape or, you know, something, it has to be something tangible and something provable. You can't just march Gloria Allred out like she always does with like 12 accusers. That crap's not going to work anymore. Didn't work last time. So, you know, she's an ambulance chaser, a grifter. So, anyway, we're having fun, aren't we? Told you after a couple, 3 weeks go by, things would settle down a little. That's what it's looking like right now, starting to level off. She's going to get another bump from the convention they have coming up around August 19th, I think. A couple of weeks. But, you know, realistically, she's gotten the biggest bump she's going to get. And now she has to start talking. She already got caught in a friggin' word salad bunch of jumble mess. You know, she's talking about, she was asked by a reporter about the cost of food, bread, gas, and stuff. And she's like, well, when you get the prices of stuff going up, families, you know, have a hard time buying bread and, you know, buying gas. And, you know, statistically, we've seen over time that life is more difficult to make ends meet for families, you know. And she's just beating around the bush on this without offering any solutions. Because she's in the White House with Biden, and that's the policies that caused it. And she can't talk about it. And that's what's going to be the nail in her coffin. An albatross around her neck. She was on the Biden-Harris ticket. No amount of media is going to change that. She should have resigned her vice presidency, separated herself from Biden, and said, I resigned because I don't agree with where this is going. And they're trying to remodel her as a moderate. Kamala fucking liberal leftist Harris, out of California, the friggin' loony bin of the country, even worse than New York. And they're going to try to pass her off to the country as a moderate? Are you kidding me? She wants to mutilate your kids, transitioning them. You know? That's what she wants to do. She wants to mutilate your friggin' children. You're going to vote for that? Indoctrinate them in schools? Crazy. So anyway, these people are Looney Tunes if they think that's going to win an election over the entire country, propped up by the friggin' media or not. Before Biden stepped down, Kamala Harris was vacant, and they were trying to pressure her to do things because she disappeared. And she didn't do anything. They tried to say that she wasn't the border czar, but there's a film clip of Biden and also an official White House notification, proclamation, that Biden is sending Kamala Harris to the border to organize things and take care of immigration. So she was appointed border czar. So Trump and Vance are going to hammer the issues, which is good. Trump did that today. He'll do it tomorrow. And just keep talking about Kamala. Not the race baiting stuff. Now she's trying to pull a fast one with the debate, saying she's refusing to debate Trump because Trump is scared, she said. They had a debate scheduled on ABC, and now he doesn't want to do it. He's afraid of Kamala, which we know is BS. But we also know that Trump has a lawsuit filed with ABC and Stephanopoulos, and he can't. It's a conflict of interest. She knows that. So they're going to run their news cycle on that. which is bunk. He's made an offer to debate her. He wants a live audience. He doesn't want this pre-scripted nonsense with microphones that are turned off, which is actually what put the kibosh on Biden. We saw that. He collapsed hard. I still say he was set up by his own people to fail, because they wanted him to step down, but there's no evidence of that. That's just my own assumption. So I'm going to be watching what happens in the Middle East with Hezbollah and Israel and Iran. Palestine is pretty much defeated at this point. What Israel doesn't want is they don't want Palestine to get let off the hook because of world pressure, and then they just rebuild and do the same thing in a few years. You know, they've been fighting for thousands of years in that region. So, Book of Revelations does openly state that World War III, Armageddon, was going to break out through Persia. Called it Persia in the Bible. Greater Persia, which includes Iran, Iraq, Syria, all these countries that are involved in this. Turkey. So that's what we're watching. It's not a mystery if you read the book of Revelations. It really isn't. When the world has turned from God and has turned to wickedness, as it says, which basically means, and it describes it in the Bible as when people grow up with selfishness, idolatry, hedonism, basically just having all the sex you want, and exploitation of things we've been seeing, like women being sold into trafficking, children getting raped. God's going to have an answer for that. And this is all mentioned in the book of Revelations when the end times come. All the stuff that's going on right now. It's not a coincidence. It's going to get worse. It does say that. So, this is all very real stuff. So anyway, that means Israel is going to attack Hezbollah in Libya. Lebanon, I mean. Lebanon. Pretty much a certainty at this point. And when that happens, you know, all you need is Iran to counterattack on the eastern part. And you're going to have bad stuff, the worst. Because then the United Nations is going to have to decide on whether they stand with Israel, which they haven't been so far, or they're going to turn their back, like the book of Revelation says, that entire nations will turn their back on Israel in her time of need, which is what we're seeing. So there again is another clear thing, clearly mentioned in the book of Revelations in the Bible, that was prophesied by God to Jesus' disciples as fact, because it comes from God. So people are turning their back on Israel, I have never in my lifetime seen this much anti-Semitism. The last time it was seen like this was in the 1920s and 30s in Europe. And we saw what happened there. And I'm going to stand with Israel, with the Jewish people. They've been persecuted for ages. It's biblical. Very clearly mentioned in the Bible. That doesn't mean I agree with everything that their government does. That's not what that means. It's like saying you don't agree with what Biden's doing, you hate Americans. It's ridiculous, doesn't make sense. So, you know, I used to say that 20 years ago. If you're a politician and they come up with a law for black people and it's not a good law and you're a Republican and you won't vote for it, they label you a racist. Bad things are going to come from that. Well, look where we are now. It's exactly what they do with everything now. You know, people saw this years ago. It's just worse now, to the point where it's causing major problems. And that's going to be nasty business, folks, globally. This is not going to be nice. This is certainly not going to be a world for old men. I'm not looking forward to it. Very dark times coming. And you'd have to know me. I'm not a dark doom and gloom person. I'm not. I'm usually pretty happy most of the time. Oh, there's a deer. There's a deer in the road. Get across. There's a car coming. And I know you can't see that. All right, it's safe. You know, a lot of things I see now. You know, I saw somebody leaving. It's at the beginning of this walk. Somebody was leaving a gas station and at an intersection waiting for a green light. Then it turned green and they were driving and their headlights were out. So I was pointing at them, indicating that their lights are out. I wasn't emphatically pointing at them like I was being a jerk. And the guy looked at me like, "What are you looking at?" You know, people now are just ready to, you know, it's hard to be courteous to people now because you don't know how they're going to react. Everybody's used to somebody else giving them crap for something. So, I don't see that deer anywhere. Just heading down through here. This is the area I've seen them in before. They got a little network of thoroughways that they go through. So anyway, yeah, we were looking forward to going shooting this weekend. The weather didn't cooperate. It's just what happens sometimes. You know, Saturday we could have gone in the afternoon. Partially sunny, clouds were out a little bit. It was like 90 degrees and so humid. You know, that's why we like going in the morning in the summertime, because, you know, it'll be 65 degrees and then it'll warm up to the 80s in the afternoon. So when it's humid, it's nice when it's cooler in the morning. So, didn't work out. I'll try it again next week. I wanted to try my new GSG 1911 mainspring I replaced, which I know works fine because I took the bullet off of a 22 LR and fired the casing with just a primer, and It fired fine, and then I did 2 more dry fires with it. Well, they weren't dry fires. I left the casing in there but turned it so it would hit an unmarked part. And it left a very deep rim indentations, which it wasn't doing before. So, salut. Now, the other thing I was thinking about doing is we like to shoot a lot of bulk ammo because we shoot a lot of ammo, okay? And premium 22 ammo, you know, that adds up in cost. You buy the bulk stuff. Every once in a while you might get one that doesn't fire or something, but Federal's been pretty good. Now, the Federal $20 box of 300 something rounds at Walmart, a lot of times it doesn't have enough kick to kick the slide back and pick up the next round. So you'll get a stovepipe or failure to feed, which is usually what happens when the slide doesn't kick back hard enough. Doesn't extract the empty casing and toss it out with authority. So it stovepipes. Or if it kicks back and doesn't kick back far enough and does eject the casing, it doesn't pick up a round on the way back out of the magazine. So that is very annoying for obvious reasons. And I think I felt a raindrop on my elbow. That's about an hour later, I'm starting to feel raindrops. So that rain is upon us, I think. So between now and the end of this walk, the last mile and a half, you might see me get drenched. Which actually might not feel too bad tonight. It's very humid. But anyway, I was thinking about picking up a 16-pound tension spring for the 22 recoil spring because it doesn't take as much effort to kick the slide back. But it's one of those things you need to be careful with, because if you put in a really light spring, it can cause new problems. One of which is the slide kicking back too hard. So you kind of have to experiment. If it has a 20-pound spring, you might want to try an 18 and then try a 16. You know, and they're not expensive. You know, they're like $3-4 each. So, you know, it's cheap enough to experiment with. And it depends what you're shooting for ammo. You know, if you get a 1911 and you're shooting 230 grain ball ammo, and then you switch over to something that's really hot defensive rounds, like plus P's, really hot stuff, you got to change your recoil spring. Probably want to put a stiffer one, because you can damage your gun with a higher caliber round. 22s might not be too much of an issue. If it's the Walther Colt, it's all steel, but the GSG slide's all aluminum alloy. So it's a softer, lighter material, and it damages more easily. And if you get the slide kicking back too hard, even though it's only a 22, it can cause damage, premature wear on one side of the slide or the other, in the tracks. And you end up having to buy $150 new slide for it, when you probably just end up buying a new firearm for you can get those for like $230 now. So, you know, it's things you need to consider. And also based on the fact that the slide's going to wear out eventually anyway, because it's aluminum. And that's why I was saying I recommend the Walther Colt instead, because you can get one of those for $230, a basic Walther old-fashioned Colt 1911 in 22 LR, and it's all steel. It'll last much longer. Plus it runs ammo better. It really is very good. And the other thing with it is the barrel is attached to the frame, which is removable for cleaning, but It's more accurate. It also just functions better. So the rain's picking up a little bit. For some reason my lady in the phone's not talking to me anymore. What did I do? What did I do to piss her off? She's not talking to me. My girlfriend in my phone doesn't want to talk to me. What else is new? Coming up on 4 miles. Yep, now the raindrops are picking up. I'll be back to where I started soon though. So we'll get to where we're going. Some of this rain looked pretty heavy, I guess is what I'm saying. So when it starts raining, I am going to get wet. Like wet, real wet. So I'm picking up the pace a little bit. Try to cut my walking time shorter. We'll make it. I'm not made of sugar. I'm not made of sugar, man. Picked up some good trail mix. Got some of these honey-coated nuts in there with M&Ms and cashews and almonds. I've seen a lot of stuff circulating online about how nuts aren't good for you. It's like, are you kidding me? What the hell are you talking about? Nuts aren't good for you. Some people have problems digesting them, but you know that when you eat them. I think I've only had one gallbladder attack. It was my first one. It was last year. Didn't enjoy that at all. And what happens is you get a bile duct from your gallbladder to that line that goes to your pancreas and all that. And what happens is it crystallizes and it plugs up that line. And then when you get a gallbladder attack, it's an inflammation in your gallbladder from your bile not going where it's supposed to go, and it's uncomfortable. But you can alleviate that. I looked it up online. I did my own doctoring on that, and the pain you get is in your upper right abdomen under your rib cage where your gallbladder is. And it feels like you got like gas really bad, like painfully. And so what you do is you push on your pancreas on your left side and you gently roll the palm of your hand towards your gallbladder, and it actually clears out that duct. It's a pretty simple fix. Started feeling better almost immediately after I did that. So, if you ever get a gallbladder attack, you can try that. It's not going to do any damage to you. What I don't want is gallstones, because those don't go away. It causes the same thing. That you need surgery on. So I don't want that. But anyway, the gallbladder attack I had was after eating some nuts. It was a mixed nuts. And I love eating nuts, so that's just too bad. Well, right now it's raining intermittently. It's pretty steady actually, just spitting drops. But I know within a few minutes it's going to be raining. And it's going to be kind of like that tropical downpours like we had the other night. And it really opened up and rained a lot very quickly. And we also have hurricane, well, it's not a hurricane, it's a tropical storm now, Debbie, that's hitting into Florida. It's probably going to cause some flooding around the panhandle. So, hope you guys make out all right. And yes, when I saw it was going to turn into a hurricane, which it did briefly, Hurricane Debbie, can you imagine that going into Dallas? Everybody would be saying Debbie does Dallas from the 70s. Anyway, I thought it was funny. All right. Very humid again tonight, like I was saying. Dew point in the low 70s. Humidity about 98%. Very humid. I didn't bring my little flashlight, so when I get to the part where I run into deer and stuff, I'm going to have to use my cell phone light, which works fine, to see where I'm going. The whole point of a light is to see where you're going. It doesn't matter what it comes from. I'm wearing my Reeboks instead of my hiking shoes. Much better walking shoes. Let's see what kind of time I'm doing. Hour and 11 minutes. Almost 4.5 miles. That's not bad. That's not bad. Night before last, I did about 4 15-minute miles. That's that one I did where I wasn't talking. I was listening to, it was actually a book. I was listening to a book while I was walking. How cool is that? Ended up walking faster. Isn't that weird? I'm not seeing any lightning going off, so that's good. That's my chief concern at the moment. I don't have any place to hide. I'll be walking under trees. Whew. Push on up this hill. Get up this hill, old man. All right. Take my phone out. Putting the flashlight on shortly. I'm at 442, just like the engine size. car sounded almost like what my Mustang does for an air intake. I got a cold air intake custom jobby I installed. I removed the factory air filter and I installed a reusable one that you have to clean every few months and re-oil it. It's got a cotton filter that's reusable. There, I got my flashlight on. My cell phone flashlight. Oh, she's talking to me again. 4.5 miles. She's not giving me the cold shoulder anymore. Ooh, a whole bunch of acorns here. Hopefully you can see that okay. I think so. Might actually make a better light for the camera than the little flashlight I bring. I gotta focus on picking up the pace. I'm gonna get back before we get downpours. Not much traffic tonight, which is good. Sunday night is usually pretty quiet. My heart's pounding pretty good. First started walking after not walking as much this winter, and you'd really feel your heart pound at times. Now I'm not feeling that. I'm well conditioned right now. It's like it's beating real hard, but in a good way. Cross over. I don't like having cars at my back, but this is also got more of an area to walk on the side than across the street. Pick the lesser of two evils. There's my apple tree on the right here. Hopefully I get to see porcupine underneath it or raccoons eating apples this year. I always see the eating apples. They leave pieces that have been chewed on. Saw a porcupine once. He was just sitting there. They didn't care I was there. Porcupines aren't really afraid of anything. You know, because they're porcupines. Still haven't fixed this overhead light. So right here would be pitch black. So we have the train. I've come up through here and there've been deer like right in front of this sign in front of me, like right standing on the side. Almost walk into them. Nope, I don't see any deer eyeballs tonight. Pretty loud train. Sound carries at night. Any eyeballs in the woods? Hopefully no lycanthropes. No lycanthropes. I don't want to deal with any werewolves tonight. I'm not into lycanthropy. I don't have silver bullets. Alright. I can turn my light off now. 4.78 miles, if you could see that. I can hear the diesel. I hear a car coming up behind me. Let me get over here on the sidewalk. Timed that just right. I don't like walking through there later at night. Cars are going by. Wow, that diesel engine's pretty loud. Locomotive. Alright. Stopped raining. It's temporary. That I can assure you. Oop. Heard something creaking in the woods. This is where I've seen deer before. I heard something in the woods. A couple branches. I don't want no werewolves. The hell was that? That got my attention. I heard something. There's something in the woods there. Heard it again. Deer get active when it's hot and humid like this. I don't know what it is. Just hit 5 miles. I just hit 5 miles. 5 miles. right, almost ready to wrap up the walk. Hope you enjoyed walking with me tonight. On this very warm August night in Maine. Looks like I'll make it back before I get soaked in rain, which is almost here, just about. Click like and subscribe. Share the content. I wanted to get some new shooting footage this weekend, but we had rain troubles. So we'll go back at it next weekend. So stay tuned. Have a beautiful weekend. Actually week. Tomorrow's Monday. Have a beautiful week. And until our next walk, friends, thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye, everybody. God bless you and your family. See you later. Bye-bye.